Welcome to Tuesday Live. I am Omini Odan. 2 weeks gone into the year 2020, and hopes are high for a better Nigeria, especially with President Muhammadu Buhari's developmental path to consolidate on the administration's achievements. Tonight, we'll look at the critical areas that include reboost of agriculture, gas expansion, increase in power, building solid economy, and maritime security. President Muhammadu Buhari, in his New Year letter to Nigerians, mentioned plans to increase domestic gas consumption, create new opportunities in agriculture, and the commencement of the construction of the Mambila Power Project by the first half of the year 2020. It intends to further liberalize the power sector to allow businesses to generate and sell power. In the area of agriculture, 50,000 workers are to be trained to complement the country's 7,000 extension workers. This is in addition to launching the livestock development project grazing model in Gombe State, where 200,000 hectares of land has been identified, while in military, including Navy, capacity building and deployment of more technology will be a priority. On the heels of this is the 2020 Finance Bill signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday, the 13th of January. Development experts are pleased with this, given the durable gains, especially in financing the critical projects and growing the economy. As usual, we'll be bringing you reports across the country, but first, this background report put together by Musa Baba Aliyu.
Nigeria experienced major food crisis was in the early 70s because of Sahel drought that affects crop output in most parts of the northern Nigeria. This resulted into the establishment of river basins to provide water for all-year farming activities.
Already have the land, we have the water, we have everything. We are just using our existing facilities to put them to use because they'll be left underutilized.
The prediction that insurgency in the northeast and communal clashes in other parts of the country will bring about famine in the country were proved wrong, as agriculturists, including officials of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, say there was no time the country recorded shortfalls in major food supply.
There is no hunger in this country, but if you say some inconveniences, yes. But if you say, yes, probably I missed my breakfast, but I get lunch, or I missed lunch, I get dinner. That is all right, and is a little bit better than to have a total hunger.
Investigation shows that the grain alternative policy of the APC-led administration has further strengthened the country's food security as well as revenue generation from the agricultural sector.
This presidential initiative brings fertilizer to the farmers at 5,000 and 5,500 sustainably, and that is very, very good. So this government has done something. The agriculture promotion policy is working.
I have seen that the world is waiting for Nigeria to fully, no compromise, no politics on it, to fully engage its own youth on the aspect of moringa cultivation to fit the world.
As it is today, Nigeria is competing favorably with world giant producers of rice, being the largest producer and consumer of the commodity in Africa. Nigeria's rice output is expected to hit more than 100 million tons by the end of this year. Nigeria's maize output increased from 15 million tons to more than 20 million tons. The country's maize demand was put at 17 million tons in 2015. With more than 10 million tons output of sorghum annually, Nigeria overtook India as the second world largest producer of the produce. Farmers say the development highlights the federal government's deliberate efforts towards boosting self-sufficiency for major produce for local consumption and export.
Our farmers have made great strides in local production of rice, maize, cassava, poultry, fertilizer, fisheries, and system. We remain resolute in supporting private sector in emphasizing backward integration and export expansion plans.
President Muhammadu Buhari says government's agricultural policy and programs will be further enhanced to achieve more goals in food security. This will include renewal of Nigeria-Morocco agreement on supply of phosphate for fertilizer production, as Russia pledged to invest in farming inputs industry. The government will also launch livestock development projects. Gombe State is expected to take the lead, with 200,000 hectares kept aside for the project. This will be accompanied by training of 50,000 extension workers to support farmers across the country. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
President's New Year letter to Nigerian sectoral projection, Part 2, is the focus of Tuesday Live tonight. We follow back-to-back that background report put together by Musa Baliu with a report from Kebbi.
Kebbi State is blessed with abundant arable land, suitable for all forms of agricultural productions. This, coupled with determined farming population, represents a great deal of opportunity for enhanced agricultural production, given the needed public and private sector support. However, majority of these farmers engage in peasant mother production, except for a fraction of them who are into semi-mechanized system. Behind me is a land clearance and preparations by a large-scale farmer in Kebbi State through mechanized system, and perhaps not all farmers can have access to this system. But with President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment as contained in his letter to Nigerians, farmers in Kebbi State as well as other parts of the country will have access to mechanized farming, thereby boosting their productive capacity. According to these farmers, the policy, if implemented, will guarantee massive production of various commodities.
If Buhari, what he sees he's going to do, God willing, if he is able to do it, certainly Nigerian economy will be compared or can be at measurable stage with other developed countries.
Some key players in the sector expresses readiness of farmers in Kebbi State to leverage on the opportunity.
Bulk of the society that are still available for crop production is a youth. And we know what drives them away from agriculture. It is a labor that is involved. And so if we have machines that can aid, handheld machines, they are available.
Kebbi State, we are fully prepared, and the work on development from Mr. President, who we know is going to fulfill his promise in taking care of what he said, and we know, inshallah, Kebbi State will do more than what we are doing.
The agricultural policies and programs of the present administration and the country, experts say, are gradually transforming the sector for the better. In Brendan Kebbi, Nura Tanko Wakili, NTA News.
That report from Kebbi and the backgrounder from Musa Baliu sets the tone for the program tonight. Mr. President's letter to Nigerians key to aid the core areas of the next level agenda, which is security, the economy, and anti-corruption. In the first leg of the program, we looked at it generally, but today specifically, we shall be looking at maritime security, power, oil and gas, and agriculture. And along the program, we shall be looking also at the 2020 financial bill that has been signed into law. Well, Tuesday Live is an audience participatory program. Our lines will be opened, and at the appropriate time, the phone number will be displayed on the screen. Also, our Twitter handle is available for you to send your tweets at Tuesday Live NTA. When you put in your phone call, please turn down the volume of your television set to avoid the hallback. Tonight, again, one is Mr. President's letter to Nigeria sectoral projections, Part 2. Quickly, my guests. I have a huge team. Today, we are just doing it within Abuja. We are not going to any of the centers, as much as we will take reports from across the zones. Rear Admiral Tari Wario Dick is the Chief of Training and Operations, Naval Headquarters. Good to have you on Tuesday Live tonight.
Thank you very much.
Sarki Awal, Director, CEO, Department of Petroleum Resources. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Professor Abiodun Oluwole Folawewo is a professor of macroeconomics and development economics, Department of Economics, University of Ibadan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
And like we said, we have a farmer here, Muhammad Awal, President, Paddy Rice Dealers Association of Nigeria. It's good to have you.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. Well, like we did the first part of the program, we'll look at it generally, and starting with Rear Admiral Dick. When you read through Mr. President's letter to Nigerians, I believe as a Nigerian, and also your schedule in the Nigerian Navy High Command, you may have had impressions. Can we have a projection or a perspective of what you thought about Mr. President's letter to Nigerians?
Thank you very much. When I read the letter, one thing that was clear to me was that a foundation is being laid to ensure a more prosperous Nigeria. And that for the Navy, we must look at it from the perspective where we need to provide security as appropriate in the maritime environment, especially when he mentioned the fact that he wants to make sure that the military is well trained, and at the same time they are well equipped, and they are expected to be held at the highest standard of professionalism and respect for human life. Then he also mentioned the fact that he wants to ensure that the host communities are well protected, and also the environment. So that sets the tone for us that whatever we want to do, we must ensure that we look at this aspect of his speech, and we key in and take every action to ensure the realization of the president's desire.
Okay, before I proceed, given what you've just said now, what will it tell us looking at 2019 before we project into 2020?
2019, the Nigerian Navy we had a scorecard, and from what we had over the years, we realized that we are doing well, and it was very evident from the amount of vessels that have visited Nigerian ports. 2018 was over 5,000, 2019 was still over 5,000, so it means that people are not discouraged to come into Nigeria to do business. Yes, we have had one or two challenges in the maritime environment with regards to piracy, and of course when we look at it from 2016 to now, at the point we're having about 70 piracy attack, with 70 attack with about 51 successful and 19 unsuccessful. But as at 2019, we had just 20 attack with 9 successful and 11 successful. So that's a clear testament to the fact that we're doing well, and that we will still look forward to doing much better this year.
Okay, let me leave you there for now. Sarki, what's your own assessment generally about Mr. President's letter from your sector?
Well, from oil and gas industry sector, the President has talked to Nigerians on oil and gas, which is very critical and holding the economy. He mentioned 3 things that are very key to each and every Nigerian. The first is gas. He mentioned 3 projects which are coming on in 2020. And those projects are as a result of performance of 2019. And he also mentioned how the industry will be repositioned for transparency and for investment. And he also mentioned a very critical project, the FID that was taken for Trans 7. So these 3 projects, these 3 key things that he mentioned in the letter, I think they are the foundation for a new prosperous country. Take, for example, the projects he mentioned, the gas projects. The East-West corridor, the pipeline, East-West pipeline, that is OB3, Obiapi, Obricom, and Oben gas pipeline, which is around 130 kilometers, that is going to be carrying 2 billion standard cubic feet of gas. And to link it up, there is Escargos Lagos pipeline, expansion, addition of 1.1 billion scope of gas, which will make it 2.2 billion scope of gas. And AKK, Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano, which is going to take about 2.2 billion cubic feet of gas daily. What does that mean? It means that Mr. President opened a corridor that will create several gas-based industry, which will help in achieving the agric vision, because you need fertilizer, you need agrochemicals, you need a lot of implements, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, all are from gas. So opening and running this gas through this corridor from eastern part of Nigeria to western part of Nigeria to mid of Nigeria and to the end of northern part of Nigeria. This will open the country for investors, for job creation. And above all, the investment coming to Nigeria, 10 billion, the financial investment decision taken for Trend 7. What it translates additional export of 8 million metric tons of LNG from 22 to 30 million.
Okay, we'll come to the specifics. Let me hold you there and go to Professor Abiodun. From your perspective, let's hear you.
Oh, thank you. I read the letter, and the first thing that came to my mind is we have a government that has been able to show us that it's not unaware of what is going on in the economy. If you look at the cost of doing business, we have high cost of doing business because of the huge deficit we have in the infrastructure. But now the government has come up to say that we are investing a whole bunch of some amount in infrastructure development. Now, the rail lines, the road, and that tells us that we now have a situation whereby it will be easier for any investor to do business, because we are sure that your cost of production is going to come down, because you don't have to make unnecessary investment in sourcing power. Now, not only that, the government also in the letter stated that a whole lot of policies are coming up to reform the manufacturing sector and agriculture, to continue the push in the agricultural sector. That on its own is going to give the economy a major boost, not only in terms of employment generation, income generation, and of course it's going to increase our output. At the end of the day, if government is able to do this, we are going to see increase in the productivity. And of course, one thing that we must also realize from the letter is government also mentioning about some other critical social infrastructure like education, water, sanitation, and health. That tells us that what the government is doing is to look at the entire economy holistically, not just focusing on one aspect of the economy, and that is a very good aspect. But as I said, my own take of the letter is I see it as a love letter. Now, when you write a love letter, it's a proposal full of promises, but delivering on your promise is another ballgame. Okay.
A guest last week told us that, well, for him, he sees the letter as a reference point to Nigerians where you go to check where are we as the year progresses. You are the president of Paddy Rice Dealers Association of Nigeria. Within the agricultural value chain, what's your projection or what's your assessment?
Okay, thank you. Well, first and foremost, based on the Mr. President letter, we the Nigerian farmers are held with high esteem, because in the sense that Mr. President has promised to train additional 50,000 extension workers, which in the first extension has died in the country. Considering our population of over 200, getting 200 million, and we have only 7,000 extension workers, cannot serve all the this over 200 million. Out of that 200 million, at least smallholder farmers constitute about 70 or 80% of our population, which represent almost about 160 million. And now, with this border closure, it's a reference letter to us, because we have to generate job for our youth, unemployed youth. Even now, most of the youth, they don't want to go in search of greener future in cities, looking for some jobs that cannot distinct. People prefer to stay in their own domain and participate in farming. Those who are not into agriculture now are interested, are queuing into agriculture. For instance, now we have spring of rice meal processing coming on board that we don't have it in the past. So this is a drawing board for us. That later is a reference to us that Nigerian farmers are happy because they are producing, and when they produce, we obtain, aggregate, and sell to processors to mill. And now we prove to even our neighboring countries and the whole world that we can sustain ourselves, because for all these couple of from August to date, we are eating meal Nigerian rice, which is more nutritious in value than imported foreign rice, which overstayed in their warehouse and transportation system. When you cook it, JICA has conducted with JICA Kari, which is a German NGO, with JICA supported by Japan government. There was a laboratory test with foreign rice and our local meal rice. When they are cooked, they are kept for a day. The following day, that foreign rice is smelly and augmented and spoiled already. And now we are video is viral with there is a plastic rice imported from China and other countries, which in the past were taking all this kind this and that caused a lot of health effects, that diseases that we have never known before. So this thing is the reference letter is work of this thing, and it's a complement to what presidential fertilizer initiative, as reported by Musa Ali in his opening remarks. So we Nigerian farmers is a call of work for us to strive and meet the challenges of the Nigerian population by God grace.
Well, you can be part of the conversation tonight. Our focus is on the sectoral projection of Mr. President's letter to Nigerians, part 2. We have a couple of reports. The first line of reports centered on the agricultural value chain. Our next line of reports are specifically focused on maritime security. And when we take them back to back, they'll be coming from Maiduguri, Lagos, and Calabar. We'll sustain the conversation and be ready with your tweets and your phone calls when we come back. Stay with us. We start with the report from Maiduguri.
Lake Chad covers part of Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, and Chad, and has been a source of water for between 20 to 30 million people making living out of it. However, these days one has to think twice before traveling to Lake Chad, as terrorists may likely attack. Naval operation in the Lake Chad was 2016 boosted with the establishment of a naval outpost, deployment of troops, and later equipment, which include armed boats.
This is the road leading to Lake Chad, but the farthest one can go is Mongono local government area due to activities of Boko Haram insurgents and military operations on the highway.
There is military people in Baga, and it is this morning that some of them come to Maiduguri to buy some food items and other things. But there are military people, BSF in Baga.
Masu bin order da doka ne, tunda security suka ce Chadi ba lafiya, to mu kuma talakawa ba za mu ce a'a akwai lafiya ba.
With the current determination and political will of the present administration, people are hopeful that the situation will be better. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
Let's take a listen to the one from Lagos.
Arrest of 7 vessels by the Nigerian Navy ship Baycroft under the Western Naval Command speaks volume to the efforts of the Nigerian Navy at securing the nation's waterways and keeping crimes at bay. The vessels arrested for different crimes, including transporting crude oil without valid approval, had a total of 7 Sri Lankan nationals, 2 Ghanaians, and 46 Nigerians.
They said after loading, they said to come to Ghana, but anchorage, working anchorage. Only that much instruction, but Nigerian naval officers come in at 12 midnight.
After receiving the cargo, I was going to Lome. And
the specification of the cargo is LPFO. In the other word, they call it Bonnie Light. The quantity I have on board currently, as I speak with you now, is 1,077.
To achieve even more, the Navy is building vessels locally and acquiring some to boost its capacity and increase its patrol activities. This is also in addition to strategic reviews of its plans and actions.
This year, the CNS has directed us to begin immediately planning for another plan, transmission plan that will take us for the next decade. There have been decline in the number of pirate attacks from 34 2018 to 16 2019, increase in destruction of illegal refinery sites because you have these boat houses that have been built at new naval security stations.
The Nigerian Navy has also redoubled efforts at the Atlas Cove Island to keep it safe from economic saboteurs.
About 250,000 jerry cans, 25-liter jerry cans used for illegal siphoning of PMS have been recovered and destroyed. If the vandals had been successful in their operation, the cost of the stolen PMS will have amounted to about 906,250,000 naira.
These efforts, according to the Flag Officer commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Oladile Daji, will be sustained in collaborating with other relevant security agencies for better efficiency at securing the maritime domain under its area of responsibility. In Lagos, Dotun Okunyemi, NTA News.
There is yet another one from Calabar.
Its maritime security challenges such as crude oil theft, piracy, smuggling, amongst others confronting the nation, the need for a strategic security framework has been posited by security experts. Saddled with the responsibility of protecting the nation's territorial waters, the Nigerian Navy is always turning the heat on perpetrators of these crimes through its maritime surveillance systems such as the Falcon Eye, with an efficient and effective operational presence at sea. The success story is visible through arrests made by the operational base.
They continue to try. If since April they've not been able to compromise me, they can never compromise me. So they are trying their luck and they will never succeed. If we get them, my men have been adequately keyed into the non-compromise attitude of the base.
Building on manpower development to achieve optimal professional capability of personnel through training and retraining has also helped in consolidating on the gains so far recorded in the maritime security. The increased operations by the Nigerian Navy has not only led to a decrease in maritime crimes, but has brought a boost to the nation's economy. In Calabar, Umar Basidet, NTA News.
Thank you so much. The two reports there from Maiduguri, Lagos, and Calabar focused primarily on maritime security. Well, Rear Admiral Dick, so much has been said. Naval operations, the Lake Chad, securing the nation's waterways, production of vessels locally, talking about local content, economic saboteurs, crude oil theft, maritime surveillance system. Looking at it generally, huge responsibility. You achieve all this within 2019. While talking about it, how do you project into 2020?
Thank you very much. Well, we have realized the fact that over the years, despite our efforts, we have continually seen increasing number of people who refer to our criminal entrepreneurs that are involved in some of these acts, and we are not really going to relent in our efforts. So what we do is we evaluate the processes and procedures we are following. We've been applying and see how we could make them much more effective. And that is why when we realized the fact that this December period, a lot of activities will take place and people will be interested in making much more money, we had to put structures in place. And if the reports you had from between 3rd and 3rd December and 30th of December, 7 vessels Arrested. It means that while we are arresting, people are aware and they are still in the process of trying to strike their luck, as one of the commentators said. But then, what we are going to do next is simple. While we investigate, we've been able to find out what informed them, how they are going about it. So we fine-tune what we have been doing so that 2020 will be better off. Even we are just on the 14th then, but we have picked at least 3 vessels already.
Okay, we heard a report from Maiduguri talking about naval operations in Lake Chad.
Yeah.
Can you update us?
What happened, going back to 2012, the Navy realized the fact that the demand for our services will increase, because from the very beginning, when this administration came into being, the strategic directive of the Navy was that to secure maritime environment to ensure that legitimate businesses will thrive. And when the crisis in Lake Chad became much more severe, the presidency directed that we must have a station there. Even before that, we had special boat services who had been working in the Northeast, and that aspect is part of our total spectrum maritime strategy. Is what we call the fifth, which is the out of area operations. So that one allows us to operate both land and any other place that our services will be required. That is why we had the Navy operating there. We had a base there, like they are told. We have almost flat bottom, but they call them riverine patrol boats, but they are just about 0.6 meters, so they are relatively flat. Those are the only kind of vessels that could be used in those places. But then even that one with a lot of restrictions, because most of those places have been covered by weeds, and it's not been easy operating there, but the Navy has still held the ground there and contributing to the success story that has been achieved in that area.
Okay, before I let you go on this bit, what's your plan and what's your projection regarding Navy's effort at securing maritime domain? Now we have heard so much about Operation River Sweep, Operation Sare Tekun and Calm Waters, Operation Swift Response. Moving on, what's our expectation? Nigerians expect so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Prior to 2019, we had reasons to initiate several operations as deemed necessary to provide the security that is required for the economy to thrive. And when the piracy was really very high in 2016, 2017, that's when we had that Operation Sare Tekun. Sare Tekun was actually to provide a corridor where ships doing business in Nigeria would be escorted from Lagos to Port Harcourt area. And when that became effective, piracy was reducing, and we realized that operations piracy with attacks within our waters are becoming much more difficult to succeed. That is why if you watch, the attacks have gone beyond the coastal area. They have gone deeper into the sea, that is the Gulf of Guinea. And they have moved from the tactics of conducting piracy to actually hijacking for ransom. Of course, you know that hijacking for ransom is not new in Nigeria. It's not new. It's not new in the world. Even as far back as 75 BC, the popular Julius Caesar himself was hijacked. His vessel was seized and ransom paid before it was released after about 38 days. So that is what is happening now, and what we are doing now, we are collaborating with both international partners, with both other countries in the Gulf of Guinea, to actually monitor the maritime environment and investigate whatever crime that takes place in the maritime environment. So, because the reports we're having, there are murder vessels, so as much as they are jacking for ransom, the Navy is doing everything to monitor the vessels operating there and investigate if they are doing a legitimate business or not. And when they are not doing legitimate business, if they are not in Nigeria, we pick them up. If they are not in Nigeria, we talk to the country where they are domiciled or where the port they visit, and they are cooperating with us to investigate them further. And that, of course, is deterring them from continuing that line of business.
Okay. We'll continue on other areas, but quickly, you can be part of this conversation through our Twitter handle at Tuesday Live NTA and also to our phone lines. Already, our first caller tonight is Ismail. Ismail is calling in from Kano. Hello, Ismail. Hello, Ismail.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. I would just like to put more light on the issue that has been discussed earlier. The present administration, to be sincere with you, they are trying their best to put things in order. If you look at all the sectors, a lot of effort has been made. If you look at agricultural sector, gas, security, transportation, a lot of commitment has been made compared to previous administration. Because PDP failed to put things in order. That is why we are facing all this thing.
Okay, I think that's the most we can take from Ismail. Well, let me go to Saraki. You heard what Ismail said, cutting across, dotting the landscape of the sectors. But quickly, let's look at from your sector, judging from Mr. President's letter, regulation of downstream the petroleum industry. Where are we and what is your projection into 2020?
Well, this administration has done a lot to really set the downstream into better footing. In the letter, Mr. President had mentioned repositioning the industry to be in this particular century we are, with much transparency and less interference. So for downstream, there are a lot of efforts from import, taking the import to depot, tracking from depot to distribution, to dispensing. So all this value chain of downstream, I'm going to talk about refining much later, because refining, there are a lot that has been done in refining, which I'm going to talk after this value chain management, kind of getting the volume of all the PMS, the AGO and DPT.
I thought you also talked to us about the fact your collaboration with the Nigerian Navy regarding illegal refineries, given the fact that they have covered so much mileages.
That is why I say I'm going to talk about the refineries later, because what we have done in the downstream. So with that, we try to get the information with respect to the volume we get into the country, the volume we take into our various depots, and the volume we distribute into each and every petrol station. And in the DPR, we established what we call enterprise data warehouse, where we track the volume, every liter that come in for every product to every depot, and we take information about the trucks, their numbers, and where they are taking the volume. That we are doing. Then coming back to refineries, the Navy has done a lot, and they are doing a lot. And we have a lot of collaboration, not only on illegal refineries, but even on the issue of bunkering and vessels.
So before we lose this caller, we'll continue where you're talking about Naval Navy collaboration with your department regarding illegal refineries. Let's take this caller from Jos. Issa is calling in from Jos. Hello, Issa. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. You're on to Tuesday Live.
Hello. Yeah, this is Issa Father calling directly from Jos.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to hear my opinion. You see, concerning the presidential letter, I want your guests to address this to me directly on air. Concerning this letter, There is one challenge in the letter which I really want him to clear the air concerning this letter. He mentioned the president in his inaugural speech of the year. He rightly mentioned that he is going to take about 100 million Nigeria out of poverty, and he has the tenure of 8 years. So how is he going to do that? Is he going to contest for a third time or what? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Issa. Prof, I think you take that, but let's allow Sarki to conclude on his last point.
Yeah, our collaboration with Navy is fantastic and wonderful. DPR, whenever we issue any barging permit or any permit that will involve marine operation, we send it to Navy and they check it and they do their work. And I think the success of our work, it is telling on how successful they are. And I can tell you that the letter Mr. President wrote is like making a stitch thicker in such a way that all the agencies are working towards common goal by building greater Nigeria. And for the illegal refiners, you see, it's the effort that DPR is making together with Navy that you can hardly now get them. And for the legal refiners, so to say, out of 22 licenses, I think 5 they are at various completion stages, which I think is a plus for this administration. And again, now most of our own marine operation, which we relate directly with Navy through our crude oil lifting and terminal operation, I can only but say let the collaboration be stronger and better than ever.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you just amplify a bit before I go to Prof? Since there's an issue of collaboration here.
Yes, the issue you have said about collaboration is right, because if we have any reason to arrest any vessel involved in illegal dealing in oil, be it crude oil or refined oil.
Mostly regarding the issue of oil smuggling to neighboring countries.
Yes, what we do is to confirm if the spec, we send it to the DPR laboratory. They are the only one to confirm to us that this spec is below what they expect, and it is most likely illegally refined. And with that, we now can hand over to the appropriate prosecuting agency to prosecute.
Okay.
And if we board any vessel, what we are looking for are the papers. Are they registered with DPR to do that business they are doing? If they don't have it, of course, they don't have the right documentation, so we arrest them.
Okay. Let's proceed, but quite take on Prof to address Issa's concerns from Jos. Umar is calling in from Benin, Kebbi. Hello, Umar. Hello, Umar.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. How is it?
We're good. We're doing good.
Yes. Thank you very much. I'm Umar Anati calling from Benin, Kebbi.
Go ahead,
I was watching one program in other AIT or Channel TV. I cannot remember, where they discuss oil bunkering, oil theft and oil bunkering with one Madam Black. If that, how the security agencies connive with the oil bunkers and oil theft, if this thing is continued, I don't think Nigeria can go anywhere. Let government take hand in this oil bunkers, in this oil theft. The issue is that when the security agencies involved in theft, where that Madam Black explain how the security agencies involved and explain how to settle them. Even those that he do not settle, they will destroy the whole thing. I mean, we should itemize a kind of.
Well, thank you so much, Omar. Well, that's the much we can take. But if I can understand Omar clearly, I think his concern borders on the oil and gas sector and the issue of alleged connivance by security agencies for oil theft. So maybe let me allow that to Rear Admiral Dick to just react before I take on Sarki and go to Prof.
Well, if I to react to it, what I would tell you is that you remember I used the word criminal entrepreneurs. We have those who are criminal entrepreneurs, so they have the resources to lure the youths who are not actively involved in any form of employment, and they see that as a means of employment in the environment they belong. So it's the whole of government approach to ensure that employment is generated. And the letter has already even told you that they are going to provide employment for more people. So it will take people off those bits. But suffice to state also that despite all these connivance or no connivance you're talking about, they are Nigerians, but for the Nigerian Navy, 2019 alone, what we denied the criminal entrepreneurs is about 5.06 billion naira, because we recovered about 296,000 barrels of oil, of crude oil. Then for AGO, we recovered about 42,729,530 liters. That amounted to about 8.3 billion recovered from them within this period. So we are doing so much, and right now what we are doing is we don't only destroy the facility, the contraption they use for illegal refinery. When we identify it, we use one boogie to deploy it, to destroy it permanently so that they don't reactivate, because since they are criminal entrepreneurs, they look at how much they are investing and how much they are going to make. So if you just go and you destroy and you don't do it well, or you evacuate, you don't do it well, they go back. So what we do right now is we use swamp to crush the items, and that has contributed to reducing the number of the refineries that have been reactivated quickly, and that is why we could tell you that this is the amount we have denied the criminal entrepreneurs.
Okay, let me take on Professor Abiodun. Issa raised some concerns, but before I take you, Ahmed is calling in from Kebbi. Let's take Ahmed's call, then allow you to react to Issa's concerns from Jos. Hello, Ahmed.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
I said I'm hearing you, sir.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead. We lost that caller, please. So, Issa talked about Mr. President promising Nigerians that he will generate 100 million jobs. And his fear and concern is, how will he achieve this within 4 years? Does he have plans for another term in office? From your perspective as an economist, I believe you have all it takes to address this.
Well, thank you. And let me thank Mr. Issa for that question. It's a genuine concern, so to say. Now, if you are promising that you are going to create about 100 million jobs, and the question is, in the past 4 years, how many jobs have you been able to create? Now we can follow up that question. It's another one, that within the last 4 years, how many people have you been able to take out of poverty? And if we are unable to answer that question in affirmative terms, then that concern is genuine. Now, if you look at what government is planning to do, it is not a direct job creation. It is creating an enabling environment for jobs to be created. Now, you agree with me that a lot of artisans are out there that are unable to do their jobs because of lack of infrastructure, especially the critical power. If you are able to make available some reasonable level of electricity supply, that will create jobs for several people. Many people that are out of their jobs will be able to go back to their jobs. In fact, we know that some firms have either closed down or are operating at below their capacity. And that tells you that they have already laid up people, or they have already downsized. But if you bring back critical infrastructure for them to operate, those people that have been laid up will come back. Okay. Then, if you go to other sectoral analysis, let's take agriculture for example. Now, I'm happy that our brother is here.
We'll come to him.
Yeah, he talks about reviving agriculture, and you see a lot of increase in production. That tells you that many people will come back into farm produce. If you do that, directly or indirectly, you'll be creating jobs for those people in that area. If you bring back industry, we're able to revive our manufacturing industry. Directly or indirectly, you are creating jobs. But now, the problem is, can we actually put a figure that within the next 4 years, you'll be able to create 100 million jobs? Honestly, I will tell you that that is an optimistic view, which may not be realistic. If we are to go by what is happening, what has happened in the past 4 years, but I can assure you, if government is able to do, even if just half of the proposal that has been put on ground, a lot of jobs will be created.
Okay, I'll come to you in the context of the 2020 finance law signed into law by Mr. President. Well, let me take on Muhammad now, but before I take that, let's take this caller from Ondo, Adewale. Hello, Adewale. Hello.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Adewale from Ondo State here.
You're welcome.
I just want to appreciate the president on the letter. As Professor said the last time, he said it's just like the proposal, a letter, as a love letter to somebody, written to somebody, right? So as it is, it has a lot of ingredients in it that has to be taken care of. Well, all well and good, but I just want to channel my concern to the speaker there, the agricultural speaker there.
Okay.
On the rice issue, as is in the market right now, as we speak, the foreign rice compared to the local rice, our homegrown rice here, the local rice the price is just too high. If for us to consume, the same goes with crude oil and the rest of it. We produce all these things, we have all these things here, but yet poor masses, even masses cannot afford them. So as it is, I just want to employ or just say so that it will be of the great side to tell us what to do so that if the foreign rice compared to the local rice, so we the masses will be able to buy them, and by so means we'll be able to things will be able to work out well for us, and the border closure as it is will not kind of affect us as such. So that's my concern, and that's my input to the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adewale. I think I'll allow Muhammad to take that, but before you take that, agriculture and natural development. The president talked about agricultural mechanization scheme. What are the best ways to carry the project? Why you also react to Adewale's concerns?
Okay, thank you.
Maybe also after you do that, Prof will also talk about it before come back to Rear Admiral Dick.
Okay. As far as Mr. President letter and the issues of mechanized agriculture is concerned, now we have to move from subsistence local rice production and other crop production to mechanized farming, whereby a small piece of land can produce high yield based on the machineries in use, because quite believe me, most of the Nigerian smallholder farmers still use some hoe and cutlass to cultivate their land. When you compare it, based on the assessment of TOPAN, which is Association for Tractor Owners Services, we have less than 150,000 tractors in operation, which are on the road servicing over 160 farmers. Compared, it cannot be possible, because all these developed countries, you see, government put a lot of investment and incentives, though we appreciate the effort of the government. Actually, this is the first time in the history when Mr. President launched Ankoboroa and Kebbi, thereby CBN, Mr. President directed CBN to design a package for Ankoboroa to smallholder farmers, whereby at a single-digit interest rate. A lot of program has been happening in the past, like ACGS, corporate society and other, and so forth and so forth, but they have not given a full package to a farmer to cultivate 1 hectare of farmland like Ankoboroa. Besides that, launching a lot of Ankoboroa for a refund came in, Prime Anko came in, CBN opened a lot of incentive under the present leadership of CBN Gomna. A lot has gone into agriculture. Now it goes even beyond that to processes. Now, before, when this administration took over, we have less than integrated 10 rice mill in the country in existence. Presently, it's all over. Now we have over 100 and more are coming on board. Dangote is building 6 mega rice mill in certain target area, like Kompro and Jigawa. He's building one in Hadi. I said he's building one in Kebbi, one in Niger and other districts. Tahiru Mangal, Max Air, now he's building one in his hometown. So a lot of investors who are not interested in agriculture before, with government intervention and incentives, are building this thing. And at least one integrated rice mill can generate over 400-500 job opportunities directly. And indirectly, integrated rice mill can create along the value chain from transportation, agents, aggregators, laborers can create job opportunities over 10,000 distance, which is reasonable. Compared to that, we are moving in the right direction. By so doing that, job creation, Mr. President enumerated, is that we are referring to along the value chain. Transporters are getting value for their money. Laborers are getting put on their table. A lot of along the value chain, agro dealers who sell chemicals, seed company are into business, bankers are into business because they give it loan and paying back. So before, in what's happening that with the previous border we are taking these job opportunities to foreign countries by patronizing their distance. And when you compare it, I have said it before, that most of these foreign rice we consume are out of date, is contagious. If they sell at the rate of 5,000 or 10,000 per 50 kg, they break even and make money out of it. Isn't it proper? But actually, what really concerning the cola district, the high cost of local rice is due to most 90% of our integrated rice mills. They are not using power; they are on generator. Cost of production, because there are a lot of impressors gap as per production is concerned. Okay. They have to buy the diesel at a rate of about 230, 240. When you run 24 hours operation on diesel, how much do you consume?
Okay. Prof, let me allow you also speak briefly on Adewale's concern regarding foreign rice competing with local rice.
Well, because you mentioned the issue of competitiveness, and I want to agree with my brother here. Now, the only way our local rice can be made competitive with the foreign rice is when there is a drastic reduction in the cost of production. What the very simple question we need to ask ourselves is this: what is the incentive for people to prefer the foreign rice to local rice? It's just price differential. If I can buy the local rice as much as 24,000 and I can get the foreign rice for 26,000, I will rather go for the foreign rice, which is already processed, parboiled already. So we need to do more. And that takes me back to what happens during the Babangida era. You still remember this D-Free, which was a massive development of rural area. So where is this rice coming from? It's not from the urban center. So we need to invest a lot in rural development. Yes, we can concentrate our efforts in providing power, good roads, but beyond that, we need feeder roads that go to the farm and then link the city. We need rural electrification so that the farmers they have access to power, even in their own production process. That is the only way that you can bring the cost of. It is not only enough for you to provide finance. Yes, the Hancock borrower is good because it gives them access to finance. But then beyond that, what other incentive do they need to be able to produce in a competitive manner? That means we still have to go beyond financing. Let us provide the infrastructure, silos and the rest, storage facility, post-harvesting mechanism that will bring down the cost of producing local rice.
Yeah, thank you so much. You can be part of the conversation tonight. Our focus is on Mr. President's letter to Nigerians, sectoral projections part 2. Our Twitter handle is at Tuesday Live NTA, and our phone lines is being displayed on the screen intermittently. But we'll take a break now. When we return, we'll sustain the conversation. We'll focus on maritime security and the oil and gas sector. Don't go away.
People get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online, or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying tuned. Our focus tonight, once again, is the sectoral projections of Mr. President's letter to Nigerians, part 2. Before we went on break, we dwelled so much on the agricultural value chain, and back to the program. Let's sustain maritime security. But quickly, before we lose much of the time, let's talk about new vessels by the Nigerian Navy, local content for Navy, MOU on ECOWAS Zone Cooperation. But before then, let's take some of these reports coming from Port Harcourt, Delta, and Lafia before we sustain the conversation.
Gas is an energy generation for cooking, electricity, and if well harnessed, generates huge revenue for exports. Following the federal government's initiative to develop over 350 trillion cubic feet of gas deposits in the country, the need for the construction of pipelines to crisscross the country for gas export and domestic use has been stressed.
Gas infrastructure blueprint, which is supposed to lead to the development of pipelines that will cut across different states. If these pipelines are constructed and in operation, whichever state that the pipeline passes can spring up a lot of entrepreneurs that can provide hundreds of tons of jobs for Nigerians, and that is what we're talking about.
A lot of investors that want to come into the gas sector, okay, but the government need to create the right policies, creating the right fiscal regimes for gas development. Nigeria is one of the countries that has huge gas reserves.
The entire world is moving towards the direction of the utilization of natural gas for cooking, fertilizer, textiles. Hence, regulators of oil and gas are leaving no stone unturned to curb all illegalities in the sector.
With the federal government mandate that gas should be used even by the rural people, that is, we should ensure the penetration of the usage of LPG up to the rural areas. And we started this campaign last year. But what has happened recently, we discovered that there have been a lot of illegalities going on in the gas sector. And we now decided that we'll step it up while combining it with the public enlightenment campaign.
They commended the federal government for the initiative to develop the gas sector and open up the economy. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
Next is the report from Delta.
Estimated to have 202 trillion cubic feet of proven gas reserves, largely deposited in the Niger Delta region. However, the gap between production and consumption is posing a critical challenge to the sector as domestic and industrial gas becomes a necessity in the global market. Has Nigeria been able to harness these huge gas potentials to its advantage?
Gas is the future of Nigeria. Nigeria has over 70% more of gas deposits, and for the next 50 to 70 years, we are going to have more of gas than crude petroleum in liquid form. One of the challenges of bringing gas to that state where it will be liquid and you store it is the high cost in building such plants that will do the conversion.
No doubt, observers believe that the present administration's determination to fast-track the gas expansion program in 2020 is timely, as only 25% of the gas reserves is currently being produced.
What we are seeing today is the government now being reactive and trying to do the right thing and make sure that we get our gas policies in place. I'm very happy because they have signed this agreement for gas expansion, and going to lead to increase in production.
As a result of the ongoing power sector reforms, the need to tackle gas flaring and improve gas infrastructures have become a necessity.
You must understand that these gas are from the local communities, and the organizations that are going to carry out these operations on behalf of the federal government must live up to their corporate social responsibilities, and they must ensure that they comply with the local content procedures.
For now, the significant conducive environment and improved security, especially in the oil and gas producing region, could be catalysts for the realization of the Vision 2020 gas expansion program. I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
Next is the report from Lafia, Nasarawa State.
Implementation of the government's power sector program is in many ways, and this is part of it.
The new Lafia 330/132/33 kV transmission substation is on the verge of completion. Hundreds of communities will be enjoying highest voltage power supply, as against reliance in decades of 33 kV line from Akwanga with attendant losses. Supply will also be boosted in communities of neighboring FCT, Kaduna, Benue, and Plateau states. To Habibu Aliyu Galadima, President Buhari reassuring words about the need to speed up work on the sector is welcome development towards boosting businesses in the country. Similarly, Lapia-based entrepreneur Davidson Amadi sees the prospects contained in the president's letter as timely.
The attention that is given to power aspect, electricity, so to say, very, very timely, very, very, very necessary, very much needed. Why? Because honestly, power, electricity is the key to industrialization. So if we have the power, regular power supply, consistent power supply, honestly, I tell you, Nigeria will be on the path of a very rapid progress.
Very crucial for consideration by government and stakeholders is the need to upgrade transformers and strengthen supply lines across communities for the new Lafia's transmission station to make the desired impact.
Those are reports reaching us from Port Harcourt, Delta, and Lafia. But quickly, before we take some tweets, a couple of tweets have come. Let me allow Sarki to respond to the reports regarding oil and gas. Thereafter, we take on Rear Admiral Dick on some core issues before we go to the tweets.
Okay, well, the report really is a good one.
Does that give us a good clearance towards a better future in 2020?
Of course. It is telling that the future is not only bright, but is brilliant. Having said that, I had in the report with respect to the gas volume, our reserves, they are around 200 trillion cubic feet, and the production is around 8 billion cubic feet, and 8 trillion, the production. But there are a lot of programs which this current administration have put forward. Of the volume that is produced, 41% is for export, which include the recent addition of Trend 7, which the FID has come in.